Well, hello, friends. I was going to try and do a live stream today, but YouTube doesn't like me and it won't let me do a mobile. So I'm standing here in my in the pergola, and I'm just going to take you on a little walking tour. A lot of friends. I just want to introduce you to my new babies. One of the best tools I could find for this yard. Anyway, welcome to my pergola, and this is, friends have asked me how I make things, how I come up with the ideas that I do. I don't, they just come to me. I found these 4 chairs at the dump. They had no seats or cushions. Came home, put some boards down, used an old hammock, cushions, stapled it on there. It all needs to be replaced because I just moved that here this spring, and I built this table this spring. That round thing is just there because it needed to be out of my way. And this is all repurposed lumber that I got, including the borders. I got at a local lumber yard. They're actually the spacers used when they bring in a load of lumber. And I still need to screw them down to the table, but it's done. Well, it's assembled. This is eventually going to be a station. I've got to make a lid. This is a 2-hole cast iron sink and have it mounted here, so I'm pretending like I'm at the kitchen counter when I'm doing dishes, and that's my kitchen window, because eventually over here is where I'm working on setting up a Dutch oven cooking station and the charcoal and all that. So in this sink here, I can rinse vegetables and all that. It'll drain right down there or into a bucket, and then I can just reuse the water. But getting that going, and little by little, I'll just walk you through. Here's my rhubarb. There is a fence post, a porch post that I found that we're going to put and glue back together. Found it at a friend's house. Of course, the mower was done sooner, or a little bit ago. Here's Mr. Guillermo hanging out on the nice cool ground. And this is my Dennis's Hostas. This is their second year here. This is the first year here for the strawberries. And the strawberries are doing very well. And then the ferny things, those are asparagus. I just planted them this spring too. The hostas, 2 years. And I know that this is a coneflower. I just have not seen it bloom yet. But I added peat moss and stuff to this little bed this year. So this is this new bed that I made. This is the pergola from this end. Got to be careful that I don't fall on my butt. And the pergola. This is our grapevine. Tim chilling out in the shade. But this grapevine, where Tim is laying, basically right there, this entire vine was laying in a big old pile on the ground there when we bought this place 9 springs ago. So we added this extension first to get, well, I put wire up on top of the pergola first, so it had something to anchor to, because all it was open slats and the vines were just falling right down through. So we got that side going, and then I talked hubby into doing this flying buttress, and then it grew out very well on this side. Well, because it was getting so big, I said to my honey, I said, well, if you really want to have more space to sit, we could go and we could do another one. So just walking through. Look at that. If you look real close, all over, this thing is just loaded with grapes. So I keep it pruned back fairly well. This is a dirty spot. This is where I've been doing all my potting and everything. I just got all the table and all that put away, and all the pots are put away. And so that's a little dirty right now. But anyway, squirrel. So I said, honey, we could do the same thing over here. So about a year after we put the first buttress on, then we added this. And I will go around to that, but we got a pear-shaped stove here that we're getting that set up so that we can sit out here, and we've been sitting out here by the fire and all in the winter time. But the issue is it's very windy coming from this side. So what I'm trying to do is build a windbreak so that we can sit in here. This thing of irises will be gone, but we can sit in this space here in the winter time and be out of view of the neighbors. And then we can also sit in here in the summer, and then we can look around and see our view. All right, so let me take you this way. Oh, no, let's go this way. We're going to go around the outside. All right. Just put all this year. This is the first year this has been planted. Found these whiskey barrels last year. The squash is he's not doing so good today. I might have to start over with them. That's all right, because I transplanted them. But I have tomatoes and all that. I still got a frame to build around this, but this has not been a vegetable growing bed until this year because I waited for 9 years. And for Bill to plant something here, he didn't, so I took it over. I got peas here, and they're going to grow right up that trellis. And if they get really long, they can go right across the top too. So that's this space here. We'll end at the greenhouse, so here's back to the pergola. All right, so this is the nice, lovely pile that's got to go to the dump. And it's more irises and more irises because I dug a whole bunch up and thinned a whole lot out last weekend. And things are still getting put away. Last year, I was attempting to make a squash arch, and I tore my hamstring because I stood up on a bale I shouldn't have been standing on, so safety first. So I was bound and determined to conquer that this year, and I was going to have my squash arch like I wanted. So through repurposed parts and free stuff here and there from friends, I made this arch. I accidentally washed a packet of seeds. I have no idea. This is a compost pile here. But I have no idea what the seeds were. I know there's some kind of squash, watermelon, or cantaloupe. And I tossed them in here, and some of them are sprouting, and so this will grow up. Half of them, I'll have them grow up onto this arch. And when Guillermo's trying to trip me, stinker. So when hubby comes out of his shop, or when he's sitting in the shop at his space, he can look out here, and hopefully we'll see stuff growing. This grove here gets overgrown like crazy. It's almost impossible to mow in some places. And so I've been pruning and cleaning this thing out. And I made this fence. That's a temporary fence down over there, repurposing some grain bags. But that's why I'll bring the chickens over here, and they go in there and they clean things up. We'll be doing a different fence there eventually. That's coming. There's no special reason why I used the buckets. I just wanted the buckets out of my way, and I wanted some height and do something fun for something pretty in my garden, and that's the only reason that looks like it does. This is a new bed too, and in here I've got marigolds. Those are going to be some foot-long beans, I believe. Don't know the exact word. Bought them by mistake, figured what the heck. I've got a couple of squash planted in there, and they'll go that way and then around the edges. But those beans will go up and over. And then I've got carrots down in here. I think that's just all carrots in there. Can't remember it all. Guillermo really has a good time out here. He just loves Don't you like it here, Guillermo? Hmm? So in here we got lettuce, and I've got beets. Yes, there's a lot packed in there. I always overplant, and then I go through, and instead of throwing them out and thinning them, I take and I transplant them into other spaces, and you'll see when we get there. But all this wood here too was all free. It's just taken me 9 years to get everything kind of just however it worked is how it went together. And I got some beans growing here. Those are bush beans. And I got carrots in with those and marigolds. I got here some garlic. It's not doing too bad. We already did the scapes. These are onions that need to be transplanted. I just haven't got that far yet. And this bed here. This arch here is the one that kicked my butt last year. And so I put it in a different spot. And it just so happened that the holes are all lined up in these awesome timbers. These are, my husband said, these are timbers from the Home State Gold Mine. They were actually at another person's house. They were tearing them, but they were going to throw them all away. And I just happened to drive by, and I said, what are you going to do with those timbers? And they said, you want them? I go, yes. So here they are. This is my fun bean tower. It's inspired by Revolutionary War era when they made them out of their own sticks and vines. And so I got beans starting to come up, and they're going to go up, and they'll go right on up there. And I've got squash planted inside here. And this is radishes and celery. And I don't remember. Don't remember. We'll see when they come up. All right. Now, the main stuff is in the ground, but I still have little things to keep going. My husband asked me, he goes, what are you going to do? How are you going to keep building stuff as we get older and we're getting more decrepit? I go, oh, I'm pretty much done with all the spaces. Now I get to do all the maintenance. So I am still deciding what to do with this here. In the meanwhile, I ultimately really would like to be able, these white things are coming off, but I ultimately would really like to make this into another hothouse. So these beds here are included in it, and it goes right on up over there. So I'm working on that, and hubby understands what I'm looking for, and he said he'd help me. Country living. Okay, in here we have peppers. The peppers are starting to get some flowers on them. And tomatoes I stuck in because I found them growing in a pot, and they started all on their own. And some marigolds. They're all starting to get going. I made the drip hoses. My husband brought home all these white hoses from a yard sale. The lady said, please just take them. Well, once he brought them here, I found out why she said, please just take them. They're a piece of crap. So I drilled holes in them, and they are now soaker hoses. And then I had a short piece of hose that was missing an end. Somebody cut the end off of my hose at the office last summer. And so I'm going through my stuff. I found the other end I needed, Bill put it on there, and then I had my connector for the rest. So all of this can be plugged in or connected, and they all soak at the same time. These are all new beds. I just made these last year. It's the first time I've planted anything in them. I'll get over there in a minute. And then I got tomatoes in here, and a pea, and another pepper, and a petunia. These guys need a pruning, but I'm going to let it go for now. Okay, here's 3 of my comfrey. 1, 2, 3. I cut these all back. I haven't divided them yet. There was another row that I divided, and I transplanted those. And over here, the birds or something keeps getting in here and scratching up my mulch. But got peppers, and the nasturtium is struggling, but I just transplanted it, so I'm not surprised. But I have tomatoes, bell peppers, and I think it's red bell peppers on this side, and tomatoes. Again, I found like 21 tomatoes that were sprouting in pots, so I transplanted them and stuck them in the ground a couple of weeks ago. And this is one of my pots of mint. These branches, I mean, these trees shed like crazy. And some rosemary. And then over here, this row right here, there is roots for the comfrey in here. But I just dug them all out and divided them up and transplanted. I left some roots and they'll come up on their own. And then I've got 12 strawberries I just transplanted from another bed down into here. And that happened because my wonderful neighbor, who gives me all kinds of great stuff, gave me 4 new rhubarb. 1, 2, 3, 4. So strawberry and rhubarb planted right next to each other. And these are all, this is the planting space I've been working on. When we moved here, there was nothing here. It was all grass. I was really tired of mowing. And that's part of the reason that I strategized and put this over here, because I didn't want to mow it anymore. And the space where we had the garden was just too small. So this space, I made sure that this is wide enough that the deck of the mower is 40 inches, so the mower can get through here. And I just put these raspberries over here. They were here and it wasn't getting enough sun, so I dug up the raspberries. I put all the dirt back in here, added some peat moss and all, and I stuck some squash in the ground. And I just transplanted them a few days ago. All of these irises that are here. I just moved all of them over here last weekend. And then the transplants of the comfrey. Here's one. And so there's like, I got one there. There's another one. Another one right there. I can't remember how many I planted. They're all down the line here. See? But I digress, so I'm going to go back to finish with the raspberries and then I'll get back where I was going. So I just transplanted. The raspberries were here. I just moved them all over here. This is a Victorian fencing that I found at the dump. Brought it home. It's beautiful. And it's tough. And it is also very, very mean. It will lay you wide open. So here's my raspberries. They're starting to get going. I don't care if they give me any fruit this year. I've just been trying to get them into a really good... Oh, goody, look. Look, 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 look. Yay! I think they like it here. So I got some, that is, oh my goodness, look! You guys, check it out. You're the first one seeing it. I got berries. Oh my gosh, how exciting. Okay, so I guess that confirms that they like it here. I've got some nasturtium planted. Well, see, Guillermo's everywhere. Sorry, let me walk. Told you this one was going to take a while. So I got nasturtium stuck in here, marigold, nasturtium, and same along the way. This big old branch fell down. I really thought this big old branch was cool. And so it will help hold mulch and stuff into place, but I didn't want to cut it up and throw it away. I know that's silly, but my husband thinks it's a great accent. Okay, so I had blueberries planted elsewhere, but I transplanted them. One of them decided it was going to live. Out of the 3 that I had, this one is getting leaves. So I can't really dig around it. I need to remulch, but I've got thyme planted at the base of it. I'm pretty sure this is rosemary. Yep, this is rosemary. The tag fell out. It's got a weed. Gotta go. And I just transplanted mint here. Mint, 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 mint. And then now I've got some blackberry, or there's 4 or 5 blackberries in here. I don't know if they'll survive. They're basically the roots in a stick, and we're just going to see if it happens. Same with this one. We're just waiting to see what happens. But this is a new blackberry that I got, and it's kind of struggling because I made the mistake and I planted it over with the raspberries, and then I read don't ever do that. But it's got new blooms on it, and so she's not dead. We'll just watch how it happens. And then these are my 2 new blueberries. This is going to be the shorter one. And this one here, this guy is going to get probably 7, 8, 9 feet tall, maybe. And look. It's got berries. And this one has berries on it too. So they're obviously liking it here. I'll just give you a quick span around. Alright, so this is the west corner. So I have irises all planted down the side. Eventually those will all die back and we'll get new leaves. And this is hollyhocks. And I've got one blooming. A pink hollyhock. And Bill loves the white ones. So they're getting ready to explode into color. And this is another comfrey that I transplanted. This is the box that I stuck in all the little baby garlics, and I have just let it alone, and now it's overgrown with weeds, so I gotta do something about that. So it'll get done. There's another comfrey. And then this fence line here, I have been working on cleaning this all out. So I've got basically, let's see, where's my finger? Right about there is from there down, and then here over. I pretty much have all the ground worked the way I want it, and I'm going to be sticking sunflower seeds in the ground all along the fence here, all the way down on the inside, so that when the wind blows, then the sunflowers will go against the fence and it'll give them a little bit more support. And I have purple coneflower over here, and you can't see them all. Whoop, can't see them all, but I know where everything is. And here's another coneflower. This is the last area that I got to weed out, you guys, but this is the kind of mess that I had cleaned out from all around. These are my potatoes, you guys. Planted these on Good Friday, April 10th. There's my brand new elderberry. And this one is the big variety. This one is going to get potentially 20 feet tall, 10 feet around. Can't wait, elderberries. Go walk on through the jungle. All this is going to get done here in the next couple of weeks. This is another elderberry. This is a shorter variety, but I have 2 of those. It's another coneflower. And I got irises and a couple of hollyhocks in here. These hollyhocks, it looks like I missed their first bloom, so you can't really see their color. There's potatoes. They're a little droopy today, but I don't want to overwater them. And another elderberry. And then all these big thicker green band that you see, these are all purple asters, these things here. And I've had to thin them out. You just pull them out of the ground and throw them away, the little tubulars. Look, they grow by tubers. And this is my little pretty space trying to camouflage this ugly satellite dish. So I have red roses, I've got lemon balm, and then I have 2 chokecherry trees. No idea what these are called anymore. I don't remember, but they get beautiful blue flowers on them like a lupin. And I have echinacea, that's purple cone flower there, and onions and lilies that bloom. And so we'll go through here. Here's chokecherries. I bought these a year ago. So these 2 little guys here, this is their 2nd year here. But chokecherry, lemon balm, the roses, lemon balm, chokecherry. And then I don't know what and I just added some marigolds and some zinnias in there, transplanted them. This area is still getting coordinated because I'm actually gonna eliminate this here. This is going to become planting space instead of grass, because if it can't be mowed, it's got to go, and it's a pain in the butt. So I'm going to take this corner and this and all of this, and that's going to turn into more planting space. And besides, this thing's going to get 20 feet tall possibly and 10 feet around, so that grass you won't see it anyway. All right, so I just dug and thinned out. All of these are the purple asters. These were all the way out to the edge. I'm not kidding. I pulled it all back and pulled all of those out. This whole area was filled with them. So then you couldn't get the echinacea was buried in there. So I just got this all cleaned out in the last week when it's not too hot. Another coneflower, and I have a purple daisy. He's already bloomed. This one has, but I'll cut it back. But this was buried and covered inside all of those asters, and there's more. Same thing there. These were all just suffocating. So I'll cut this all cleaned out, and my little plants are just starting to get settled in, and I still need to mulch this all down. This had newspaper all over it, and it was blocking out the weeds, and I'm just running out. I'm just out of mulch at the moment, and so I'm just taking my time. There's the daisies, they just really love it, but they just needed a little bit more air and more light, and so they can do their thing. And I really love these guys, and they've they'll sprout on their own. So they've got a new batch there, and they've got some other ones that are starting over here. But this is a spot here. The lady has to come and read the water meter, which is right here. So I have to be careful what I plant so she doesn't step on them. Just thinned out the irises in here, and got that. These are all tiger lilies. And these tiger lilies, there was like every one of these bulbs was in this skinny tiny little flower bed when we moved here, and I transplanted them. He goes, "Why are you transplanting?" I go, "Because they're not getting big enough." So now they're taking over this front part, which is fine, but I'll just do a quick spin around so you see where we just came from. And this bed here, these rocks were all part of a cement bed that was at the back of the property before we built the shop. And so I asked hubby if we could use them for a border here, so we created this space underneath these trees. And I've got hostas planted, and the lilies. More needs to be added yet. And a friend just gave me a whole bunch of perennial geraniums, and so I kind of stuck them all over in here, and I'm waiting for some of them to come up and take over. Sorry about that. But this space here, I'll get you a different picture. These hostas, I just transplanted them there a couple of years ago, so they're still getting going. And this is my patch of sedum that I will be harvesting some of that and moving it around and putting it in some of those places that really, like right there, put the sedum on the ground there, and that will help do a ground cover, and it'll keep the weeds down, and if she steps on it, I'm not going to cry. My little petunia patch by the gate. That's that little space there. This is Dennis's rose, my son who passed away. And this one just got done blooming. But I got this all cleared out here too, so that a little more light. I'll show you the other side of the fence in a minute. I'm getting things established here. That is pink aster. It's a different variety, but it's absolutely beautiful in the fall. And there's another one there, and then that is lemon balm. And that's a weed, and we've got lavender and thyme, and I have no idea what this thing is called. It was on the clearance bin, and it looked like it needed a home. And this is lavender, it's doing very well. And then I have another lemon balm planted here that I'll be filling in. I'll be putting zinnias and all that kind of stuff into this bed here, and I might just stick the seeds in instead of trying to transplant the plants because it's getting pretty hot, but we'll see how that goes. I'll come back in a different way, just a second. Okay, so this is the front fence. I just cleaned out these first 4 sections and thinned out the irises. The whole thing was just full of irises, and you can't really see, but I took the stuff closest to the bed out, and then I left the iris. I just mowed over that, not a big deal, and then it'll hold the mulch. I've just got this planted, and I've got some country garden seeds in there, and there's some zinnias stuck in there, some sunflower seeds, and then of course the tiger lilies are doing their thing. But this is the entrance. And I know it looks like a silly gate, but it works.